Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I gave the car to my wife. The happy. Years ago, I used to be married to she who must not be named in my family. For the purposes of brevity, we shall call her Alice. Somewhat significant age gap when we got married. I was 27 and Alice was 19 at the time. We had our share of ups and downs, and during one particularly hard time about a year after we got married, we were sunk in credit card debt and had to move in with her mother, who had a whole bunch of chronic medical problems and no insurance. Stepdad is a shade tree mechanic, who was not bad at it, actually, but couldn't get regular work because he had medical problems all his own. Move in, cut some costs, help family. It's the right thing to do, right? Problem was, Alice and I couldn't seem to both hold jobs at the same time. She would get laid off a week before I would start a new job, and vice versa. After about 9 months of this, I was like, duck it, I'ma get all the jobs. I get a job working weeknights. I get a weekend job. The temp service I signed up with was really aggressive and got me decent, weekday, jobs on a regular basis. Only problem was, these jobs were over an hour away from her mom's and I'd be so dead tired from working, I'd crash at my brother's place which was 10 minutes away from the next city over. I'd only be able to go home to see Alice every few days, then have to get up a few hours later so I could beat the rush hour into work. 4 months pass, and we find ourselves slowly inching from the red into the black. One day, Alice lets me know that she got a job. It's about 20 minutes away, and only I have a working car. She has friends that can give her a ride when I'm not home, and I take her to work or pick her up every chance I get. This goes on for about a month. Finally she says, I think I need my own car. It's all good, she's an independent girl, and I can see how hard it is for her to be so dependent on other people. I do some quick math and figure it would take about 4 months for us to get enough money together to get a decent beater that won't die in a year. She nods her understanding. I see her disappointment, and my man pride cannot take it. I level up and go beast mode. I start taking side jobs, mostly construction, with a friend of a friend who pays on a per-day basis to fill out the times when I have blanks on weekdays when the temp agency hasn't got anything for me and I pull double shifts for the weekend job. I sleep an average of 4 or 5 hours a day. 3 weeks later, I have purchased a car for her, a cute little 4x4 that I saw on Craigslist. Mechanically sound, but was dirty AF. I park it at a friend's place and over the course of a week, give that grimy bastard the most comprehensive cleaning of its life. You could have eaten off the wheel wells, I shit you not. My good buddy Nathan springs for some cheap but nice visuals, wheel paint, seat covers, floor mats, etc., and we make it look even better. When we move it out of the garage, my friend's mom swears it can't be the same car and I have to prove it to her. I leave my car with Nathan, and drive home in her car. Timing is perfect. I'm about 10 minutes away from home when Alice calls me on my cell. She wants to go get some groceries. I let her know I'll be there in a bit and park by the curb one house down. I knock on the door and tell her to come out so we can go. She steps out and looks around. Where's your car? Left it at Nathan's. What did you drive? That. I point at the car. Whose car is that? Yours. She takes a couple of seconds to process that single word. Then, her jaw drops and Alice runs back inside screaming, Mom, insane and got me a car. The sad. A couple of years go by. Alice has learned how to use a manual transmission because her baby has won. Between myself and her stepdad, Alice has learned to change the oil herself, and even took an active part in replacing the brake pads and all 4 shock absorbers on her baby. She bathes her baby herself. She has learned to take care of her baby. Mill's medical problems are mostly manageable with meds now, and stepdad is getting almost regular work thrown his way by friends and previous customers. We have moved out of her mom's place, and I'm only working 2 jobs now. Credit card debt is down by 80%. Alice also has a steady job, and is thinking of going back to school. And then I find out she is cheating on me. Same, but different. This post reminded me of me. Slightly different, because I destroyed my ex-wife's relationship with her entire family. When I was married, I tried to make it work. My ex will have a different story, of course, but my conscience is clean. I worked my ass off so we could get out of debt. I was there for her brother and sister when stepdad would go on a bender and hulk out when his frustrations got the best of him. I never hit her, and I never cheated on her. I really, truly tried to make it work. My ex had cheated on me once before, but I sincerely believe that people can change if they really want to. She was profusely and abjectly sorry, and promised to never do it again. I took her apology at face value, and life went on. I never brought it up again, not even in our worst arguments. But, having been burned, I remained vigilant. We had moved in with her mom to help out with her family's medical bills, but moved out when those were under control and we were finally able to get ahead just a little. We had a little bit of disposable income, and a little bit more free time for ourselves. 4 years into our marriage, I noticed that she was going out a lot with friends. Work was demanding more of her time. She was coming home later and later. She was skipping out on eating our meals together. Classic signs. I finally confronted her. One day, she told me she was going out with friends. Again. I said it was fine. When her friends came to pick her up, I told her I wanted to meet them. Oh, we have to be somewhere at this time and we'll just make it if we leave now. I consider myself pretty laid back, but I took a hard line this time. You're not going anywhere until I meet them. She knows she's caught. She goes out the door, and comes back with one guy. My heart rate shoots up, and I try to keep my rage under control. My dad was an old school soldier, and he taught us discipline. You learn discipline real fast when screwing up means you get the belt. I have both of them sit down. She can't even look at me. I straight up ask, "Are you her boyfriend? Is she your girlfriend?" Guy has a smirk sneer on his face. What do you think? You know that saying seeing red? It's true. I saw red. I wanted to get my machete and go to town. But, discipline. You are better than they are. I control my breathing, take a deep cleansing breath. My voice is shaky. I point to her. You, woman, if this is how you treat our marriage, then I want nothing to do with you. I point to the guy. You. If she can do this to her husband, guess what she's going to do to you? I point to the door. Both of you may now leave. The guy drops the smirk off his face because he sees something in mine, and both get up and scramble for the door. Right before it shuts, I can hear her yelling at him about how close he came to dying. I hear the car peel out a few seconds later. I lock the door and collapse down against it. Emotions ensue. That night, she calls me up. She's getting her stuff and getting the foe of my life. I'm still messed up, so I say yes. I tell her I'll even stay out while she does this. Fine, she says. The next day, I go out and do stuff. Then I go do more stuff just to do stuff. When I get home, she's taken her stuff. She's also taken a shit ton's worth of my stuff. Stuff that was sentimental to me but not to her, just to deny me that little bit more happiness. That's not right, that's just rubbing it in with a rake. I'm stone cold sober now, and I begin to plan. It takes a week, but end result. I take her car. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There is no third time. There must be payback. My man pride demands it. The mad. A week after the nuke drops on our marriage, I've worked out the problem. She's already gotten her stuff and moved out by then. I call her up to meet. Lunchtime, her work. Just to talk, I say. There's a little pseudo-eco-industrial picnic area right by the building she works at, and there's a fair amount of foot traffic, EA, witnesses. There's some chit-chat, and she makes a vague appeal to work things out by dragging my dead dad into it. Hell's no. You don't have the right to do that. You had a 1% chance, but that just flat out dropped it to 0. I cut her off mid-sentence. I'm taking the car. Your car. What? The pink slip is in my name. I'm taking back my property right now. And if you don't hand over the keys right now, I'm going to report it stolen to the police. But you gave that car to me. I'd been talking in a normal, conversational tone up until this time. Her betrayal rams into my chest for the 1000th time. My voice hardens. I didn't give the car to you. I gave the car to my wife. Her brain still isn't firing on all cylinders. She asks, but how will I get to work? Get your boyfriend to drive you. I'm still looking at her. Her face goes slack as she realizes that I am not kidding. I take the keys, get into her baby, and drive off. I look at her as we pass. She still has the same look on her face. And I drive all the way home with the biggest shit-eating grin on mine. TLDR, I buy my wife a car. She cheats on me. We broke up. I take the car back. P.S. Goddamn, that was cathartic. This is the best I've felt in over a decade. P.P.S. Car stuck around for another year before I sold it to my buddy, Nathan. I only wanted $100 for it, and he wanted to pay Blue Book. We compromised. I sold it for the same price I bought it, which was way cheaper than Blue Book. PPPS, thanks for the gold, anonymous redditor. Edit, as suggested, did some name changing to make it flow better. Also, not their real names. There's always that one person. First person I called immediately after I got home was her mom. I told Mill that we, her daughter and I, couldn't be together anymore. Mill tries to get more information, but I tell her to get it from her daughter and call me if she needs any more details. Mill is cussing up a storm, not directed at me, when I hang up. A couple of days later, I got a call from her brother who is 6 feet 1 inch and built like a brick shithouse. This is the guy who told me that if I ever hurt his little sister he would melt my dead body in acid so no one would ever find it. Bro, I'm sorry about what happened. If you need anything, just call. My Mill has 10 siblings. She told all of them, and all of them were solidly behind me. Even the psycho aunt that nobody else in the family talked to. Her cousins, nieces, and nephews called me up to offer support. It was immensely gratifying. Karma, about a year later, I heard through a friend that BF got her pregnant then dumped her. A year after that, heard she was pregnant again from a different guy who also dumped her. TLDR, wife cheats on me. Her family backs me, not her. Karma bitch. Did she ever apologize to you? Tried, but was just a little bit unsuccessful in getting a hold of me. By the time she figured out where I was when I popped out of ninja stealth mode, I was halfway around the world. Lol, where did you go? Holy shit, where did he go? He was here just a second ago. Shh, he is okay. Hi. It's me Nathan. Her friend. Can I have the car? Thanks. True friends. BFF. You already bought it off me. No more quaaludes for you, Nathan. You can't have the car. He gave it to his wife. Holy shit, how did he get there? How did he get there? Ha 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 ha. I don't know, Morty. Just stay away from the coffee machine. Tiny bits. Too slow. Cotton-eyed Joe. Hey, man, small comment, but I liked the way you linked between the posts. It really flowed, and they were solid stories on their own. So it was great that if I didn't click through, I'd still have something complete to read. That's the first time I've seen posts linked that way. It was a revenge story within a revenge story. Revengeception. Recursive revenge. Whoa. Am I the one still spinning? Also thinking about whether or not I should put in how I also stole her best friend from where she was working at the time. I don't see a place in your posts now to slip in a link as neatly as you did with these two. I'd say to put up its own thread, but that's just me. I'm very much a don't fix it if it ain't broke and also scored you compliments kind of person. Same train of thought occurred to me. Own thread and maybe, just maybe, link the other two. New story with some other story linked to it, just like with this one. You're pretty good at that, so it'd be fun to read some more. Lol, I had fun popping between stories. Got up to the she cheated on me in the stole her car story, read this one, popped back over to finish up stole her car, then back to this one to finish it up. Up does a great job of yeah this happened, but if you didn't read the other story, the backstory isn't necessary to understand this story. Synergy, the sum is greater than the parts. What is this? Man, I like your ex's family. So do I. I actually got a Facebook request once from her kid sister. I decided to let sleeping dogs lie and never accepted. Good decision. How about that divorce, though? Tried once. She never signed the papers. Gave up, I was out of here anyways. Moved to another continent instead. Sounds like a good use of the in-law support. You should get her to sign those much sooner than later. Especially if she tries to pull in for child support. Yeah, make sure you have proof of at least sending the divorce papers or she'll try to pull the child support card on you. I hope you and your friend from the other thread still keep in contact. He seems like a keeper. You sound like a smart guy. Why would you, at 27, marry a 19-year-old? Because she wasn't totally a bad person. Oh yeah, plus awesome mind-bending blowjobs. The 27-year-old me was a lot less wiser than the present me. Yay, but that guy got awesome mind-bending blowjobs. Doesn't matter. He was welcome to them. Can get mind-bending blowjobs elsewhere. D. Man, that sucks. Did you ever get your sentimental stuff back, at least? I think if there's anything this sub has taught me, it's that at the very least I'll have a friend supervise if / when my future wife ruins my life. Nope, I did not. That was one of the paradigm shifts in my life where I realized that if I can't do anything about it, then why worry about it? I learned to let it go. Cringe. Can't hold it back anymore. Sorry, not sorry. My dad was an old school soldier, and he taught us discipline. You learn discipline real fast when screwing up means you get the belt. My dad was a captain in the Navy. He was the CO of a helicopter squadron, and commanded over 2,000 sailors at one point in his career. He never hit me with a belt, but he was the type of man who simply commanded respect. Just the steel in the way he carried himself was intimidating to people. He used to be on the board at our church and would stand at the exits on Sundays to shake hands and greet people after the service. I was always amused at the way that men, boys even, would subconsciously straighten themselves up to shake his hand. One time, a family with 3 unruly rugrats was leaving and the kids all stopped their shenanigans to shake his hand and say yes sir and no sir to him as he talked with each one as they left. My friend and I watched the transformation, and he said to me, "Man, your dad is kind of a badass." Yep. My dad was, somewhat, the same. I got the belt cause I was a more than a bit of an entitled douchebag prick when I was a kid. And yes, the belt solved that real quick and I was squared away before I hit puberty. I realized a lot later that it wasn't random thrashings, and he always explained immediately afterward why I was being punished. 4 years into our marriage, I noticed that she was going out a lot with friends. Work was demanding more of her time. She was coming home later and later. She was skipping out on eating our meals together. Classic signs. Same thing happened with my ex, except she wanted my money and his. Well, you know, and thought it was perfectly fine. I ended up with the car later on too. Perhaps I should post about that someday. I would not have personally let her back into your place without you being there. I agree completely. However, 27-year-old me was a lot less wiser than present me. That was ducking boss level revenge. What car did your ex had? Sweet karma. Although to be true, all women are like that, and only the tight leash treatment prevents them from ruining their lives and everyone else's they touch. So yeah. Did you learn not to give leeway to animals? Not sure if this is fake or just shitty revenge. It's pro because of the damage done to the target's life. Her entire family knows she's a cheating whore and is solidly against her and for her now ex-husband. Plus, she lost her car. That's nice, solid, permanent damage done to her life with a single phone call. Pro is defined by the outcome, long-lasting or permanent damage done to someone's life, social standing, finances. It doesn't matter how much or how little is done to achieve that, only that it's achieved. There's one in every thread. And if we're going by comment history, it's usually this guy. You're not wrong. Redditor for 3 years with 135 comment karma. And it looks like he comments fairly regularly. With all the downvotes he gets on all the threads he does this on, it's a wonder he even has 100 karma. Fate helped me get back at my brother. I originally posted this in 2 parts as it was unfolding on r/relationship_advice, and a couple people told me to post it here. I didn't know this sub existed, but I'm happy it does. So, my brother, 23M, we're twins, is so mean. He's constantly doing messed up stuff to me, 23F, but the worst thing happened 5 years ago. I got my first boyfriend when I was 18 and a senior in high school. I know we were young, but I really loved him. We'd been dating for 10 months when my brother randomly decided, for literally no reason at all, to make up a story about how he caught me cheating and tell it to my boyfriend. He planned it all out, he came up with details, he made it sound real. And because he's such a scarily good liar and a master manipulator, my boyfriend believed him. No matter what I said or did to prove it wasn't true, he believed my brother over me. My brother kept up with his act the entire time and refused to admit he was lying. At one point I thought I'd finally gotten my boyfriend to believe me, but then he broke up with me a few months later and confessed it was because he was still convinced I'd cheated on him and he couldn't move past it. He said, "The worst part is that you won't just tell me the truth, and not to sound dramatic, but that still haunts me. I want to cry every time I think about it. And I still miss him to this day." Also, I think it's important to note that my brother has never once apologized. He's so insanely mean that he just thinks it's funny. I even asked him once if he'd consider hitting my ex up and telling him the truth for my peace of mind, and he just laughed at me. I never got over what my brother did, and I always told myself I was gonna do the exact same thing to him one day. He's dated several girls since high school, but he'd never been serious enough about any of them for me to consider tricking them. I knew it wouldn't hurt him like he hurt me if I just tricked one of his flings or something. But he finally got his first serious girlfriend last year, and after thinking about it for a long time I decided I was gonna do it. We live in different places now, so I had to do it all online. I used a different method than he did. I contacted his girlfriend pretending to be the girl he'd been cheating with. I made up an elaborate detailed story like he did to me and even photoshopped proof and stuff. I made my story even more believable than he made his. And exactly like he did to me, I went as far as denying it even to him because I knew he might use my texts/calls to prove to his girlfriend that it isn't true. He knew I was behind it, though, solely because the girl I made up doesn't exist and there's no one else that would do this. But I kept denying it. His girlfriend wholeheartedly believed me, and my brother kept calling and texting me and begging me to give it up, even though I still wouldn't admit it was me. He was manipulating me and arguing that it's different because I was younger when he did it to me and my relationship wasn't serious. But my relationship was serious, and like I said, I still miss my ex. My brother really messed me up. I have empathy though, he doesn't, and I was starting to feel bad for his girlfriend because she's innocent. I was kind of regretting everything and thinking that maybe I should tell his girlfriend the truth, for her sake, not his. But then, his girlfriend asked me a question which led to her admitting that she's been suspicious of him for a long time, so I pried a little bit and encouraged her to look through his phone. She told me she couldn't because she didn't know the passcode and he wouldn't give her access to it. I guessed a few passcodes I thought it could be and gave them to her under the guise of seeing it once but not being sure which one I'd seen. That was kind of dumb, but I couldn't think of anything else to say and she didn't question it. She got in because it ended up being the same one he's had since 2012 when our dad got us iPhones and made us use the same passcode. Idiot. Anyway, lo and behold, it turns out my brother actually cheated on her and my setup was the reason she found out. He's been talking to and hooking up with multiple girls for pretty much the entirety of their relationship. Exclamation mark. I'm not surprised, because he's a terrible person and cheating seems right up his alley, but I'm shocked at the same time. I literally can't believe things worked out this perfectly. It feels like a dream or something. The universe loves me. I hate to revel in his girlfriend's misery, but I was feeling guilty about her being collateral damage, so I feel like this is the best possible outcome. My lie ended up being the truth. Well, not exactly, but you know what I mean, so I didn't scar his GF or leave her with permanent damage for no reason. All my interference did was speed up the process of the truth coming to light. In fact, my brother may have been able to hide his cheating forever if not for me. He probably would have just manipulated his GF and/or refused to give her phone access forever. She hasn't broken up with him and I'm honestly not sure if she will. How relevant that is, but it attests to how manipulative he is. He screws people over all the time but somehow always gets his way anyway. It's honestly infuriating and scary. Anyway, I'm still not going to admit to my brother that I'm behind it all, because there's no point. That would just get me in deeper trouble. I got a comment on my original post that said "deny till you die baby," and that's exactly what I'm planning on doing, lol. Life's crazy. Just a word of caution, your brother may try to escalate. Keep your eyes open. Do not ever give him any weapons that he can wield. Time to start upping your privacy online. For real, cut that motherfucker out of your life. The first time he did it on a whim, the next time will be for revenge. Make sure to get any admittance to his past deeds in texts and save them forever. Preempt any serious relationship with this story/history so he won't be able to undermine you again. With a brother like him, you don't need an enemy. At least you're not living with him anymore. But seriously, duck him, he sounds like a boss. No, don't, this isn't Alabama. Roll Tide/S. It's funny cause New Jersey is like one of the very few states you can legally marry family members and Alabama isn't. But yeah, war eagle if they did hook up, lol. Edit, NVM Alabama also sucks. Yeah. The list for NJ and Alabama are identical. First cousins half removed, half cousins and adopted cousins are allowed to marry. There was a fake news article about a brother and sister being allowed to marry after allegedly winning a court case in 2019, but that's bunk. https://www.snopes.com/factcheck/New Jersey brother sister marry/. Even the weird state of Utah has stricter laws than that, voiding all out-of-state cousin marriages, and only allowing cousins to marry if they're old and infertile. Handy table of states and laws for those interested. That feels like the sort of search history that would be difficult to explain to a family if they saw it. Wow, your brother sounds like a sociopath. Seriously, I'd go low contact/no contact with him. Copying from my other post and another comment. He's 1000% a sociopath, that's what people in the comments of my other post said too. I've spent years being told I'm just dramatic when I accuse him of being a sociopath, so I feel very seen now, even if it's just from a bunch of strangers. As for going no contact, I wish I could, but it would be really complicated due to the way our family is. We're all really close, I mean as a whole. My brother and I aren't close individually, so cutting him off completely would mean not attending holidays, avoiding my parents' house every single time he was there, and a lot of other really difficult situations. I love the rest of my family, so that just isn't doable for me. I keep my distance from him, though. We live like 100 miles apart and almost never talk unless it's family related. Okay, I have to ask, were your parents not aware of how he sabotaged your relationship with your HS boyfriend? Or did they believe him too? I don't understand how he could get away with someone so heinous while you were both living at home under parental supervision. I told them, but they just kind of brushed it off and didn't take it seriously. Granted, I didn't really tell them the extent of it because I was young and angsty and didn't want them in me and my boyfriend's business. My brother's story involved stuff that I just didn't want to talk about with them as an 18-year-old. If I would have actually told them everything and given them all the details, then they probably would have done something, so that's on me. However, my brother's such a good manipulator that he very well may have found a way to keep it up regardless of my parents' interference. He might have even tried to trick them or something. I've beat myself up about not getting them more involved, but I can't change the past. I totally hear you, and sorry if that came across as trying to place blame. I just wondered if your parents were totally out to lunch, or just under his spell or what. I'm sure your brother recognized the difficulty of involving your parents, and figured that into his scheme. I hope the success of your revenge will make your brother think twice before trying to duck with you again, but as so many others said, please be careful. Who knows what he is capable of? Take care op. I mean, if he's believing the brother over her despite there not actually being a person there. Triangular flag on post, 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 triangular flag on post. This thought has crossed my mind 10 million times over the past 5 years, especially because I never gave him any reason not to trust me. It still tears me up and eats at me. Part of me can't comprehend why he believed my brother over me, but the other part knows how weird and manipulative my brother is. I feel like I say that in every comment I write, but it's the root of this whole thing. I've tried to put myself in my ex's shoes and it gives me a little bit of insight. Imagine, you're dating someone, their sibling seems completely normal and sane, and one day they come to you with a specific and detailed story about your partner cheating on you, backed up by an Oscar-worthy acting performance and a bunch of BS about I contemplated even telling you but I feel like you should know. I got details from my ex, I know how their convo went down. Wouldn't you probably believe it too? Wouldn't you be like, well, it's way too specific to be fake, and he's a completely normal dude, I don't know why anyone would make this up. Especially when it kept going on? Wouldn't you think, if it was a prank he would have given it up by now? That's the conclusion I've come to. My brother is scarily good at seeming 100% normal and he uses that to his advantage. It gives him a lot of credibility. But maybe I'm just in denial. Maybe he should have trusted me more. Your brother is such a liar, manipulator, and cheater. You did not deserve what he did to you and your happy relationship with your ex. I am glad you finally got back at him and have one question though. Before you found out about him cheating for real, did you feel satisfied that you got back at him? I felt satisfied at first, but it turned to awful guilt pretty quickly because I felt bad for his girlfriend. I see. Well, are you okay after all this was discovered? I definitely feel accomplished lol. Wow, you guys are twins and he treats you like that? The guy is clearly a head case and he deserves more than what you gave back. Seems the word karma is apt here. I have identical twin boys and I have always hammered home how important it is for them to grow their relationship, bond together as family should not be taken for granted and relationships must be nurtured properly over time to reap the long-term rewards. Did you tell your family what he did? I am a huge sucker for siblings treating each other with respect, and God help my kid if they treated each other like your narcissistic brother did to you. When sociopaths grow up, I always wonder if their parents just did everything they could and the kid manipulated them into thinking they have empathy. This is exactly the case with my brother. He manipulates the hell out of my parents, but I've seen more of his bad side than they have, so I know the truth. They just don't want to come to terms with the fact that their son is psycho. I briefly told them about what he did when it first happened, but they just kind of brushed it off and didn't take it seriously. I didn't tell them the extent of it because I was young and angsty and didn't want them in me and my boyfriend's business. And obviously I haven't told them what I did because I don't want it getting back to him. Don't cheat on your graduation lifeline. Sui, 19M, and my, now ex, GF, 18F, have been together for more than a year. We were in the same class during middle school and high school now. A 2-year friendship eventually evolved into a relationship, you all know how it is. We were happily together, at least so I thought, since December 2019. I thought everything was great between us the whole time, although recently, about March, I noticed her becoming very distant and barely writing first, dry texting, etc. I asked her multiple times if everything is okay and gave her some space, but it continued for the next few months. I was naturally very upset as I've been through hell and back together with her when she was going through depression and a really hard time at the end of 2020. It suddenly felt like all this time was wasted and worth nothing. I, as a naive high schooler, truly believed that she was the one. It was serious after all. We matched perfectly together. We spent about 3 full months crying together at night when she was going through a rough time. We had similar plans for the future, similar interests, and it seemed we were meant for each other. My GF, let's call her Caroline, was studying to become a lawyer, so she was mostly into humanities subjects. I, on the other hand, am studying biochem for medical school. I apologize if this is all confusing/different. We live in Europe. She was required to attend at least one science subject to graduate, physics/biology/chemistry/psychology. She always hated these subjects and just took them because they were necessary to graduate. She ended up picking chemistry as I was a natural and tutored 9 and 10 graders chemistry in my free time, and I always helped her with assignments, etc. It started as helping her before exams and assignments so she could get a good pass grade, and after her rough time warped into me writing half of the assignments for her. In February she started to do everything with me again too. We had online the whole time. Anyways, enough backstory. After noticing Caroline started to get distant and she never properly answered my questions regarding her behavior, I wanted to see how far it would go. For 1 week I didn't invite her/call her/text her first. In a total of 1 week she called me 3 times. Twice to ask me about her assignment and once telling me how she felt insecure and bad. I'm not a dickhead. I helped her out with her school stuff and comforted her when she felt down. Me being the naive love is perfect lovebird, I am chalked it up to her feeling depressed again but feeling embarrassed about it. I continued helping and comforting her for the next month until nothing changed and she never opened up. I was honestly doubting everything by then. Is it me? What am I doing wrong, etc. I tried everything I could. Eventually, I asked her friends if something happened, but they said she was the same as always towards them. I knew something was up, but I didn't know what it was yet. One day when she came over to my place, it was only the second time she did that in March. Usually she came at least twice a week. We were sitting in my room and talking while she was trying out Valorant. After she went to my kitchen to make herself something, I hear a notification from her phone. I'm usually not a snooper, but I had a quick look at her screen that lit up. I wouldn't be able to read the message or who it was anyway. It was a Discord notification. I was very surprised. I knew for a fact that she didn't have it a month ago. Plus she only plays Minecraft once in a while. She never uses Discord or anything. So the next morning I did some snooping and sure enough, I found a whole other Instagram account of hers where she branded herself to be an aesthetic gamer girl. Not that there is anything wrong with that. She had never told me anything about this. I couldn't find any of her friends following her on that account either. Sure enough, she had her Discord username in her bio. Curious and TBH arsehole me decided it would be a good idea to create a throwaway account and try to text her to see what she was all about. Before you complain to me, I know I was an asshole here. After texting her on my new account, we talked for a bit until she became flirty. We played a few Bed Wars games together, once again on a throwaway account I bought for $1 Lamau. I kinda broke down and started questioning my sanity. I had been with her all this time and through so much shit, I couldn't believe she would do this to me. After the sadness came from the anger. I wanted to know how much she took it. I found it hard to believe that she would just casually flirt with guys like this. After setting up my first recon mission plan, I found out more about her until I found out about her supposed boyfriend. At that point I had a huge emotional breakdown and I felt I've wasted so much time helping someone who would betray me like this. From her stories I would later find out they were sleeping with each other for a whole month by now, about when her behavior started to change. At this point I started hatching my revenge plan. I know I would not let her off the hook this easily. I spent 2 weeks pulling all-nighters making sure I had all my work done till the end of the year, until graduation. I spent all my remaining time creating fake chemistry textbook pages so I could make my pro-revenge more believable. All of the information was wrong. I knew I had to give her a taste of her own medicine, betray her like she had me. For the remaining 2 months of the school year, fed her all this fake information and made sure she got all of her assignments wrong. I knew she wouldn't be able to tell anyone she was copying off me, as our high school had a very strict rule for plagiarism. As much as 3 small cheating attempts on small exams could get you expelled. So after letting the pot stew for those 2 painful, awful months, I let the shit hit the fan. As our teacher had to handle an outrageous amount of classes, she always checked our assignments late, often by 2 or 3 months all at once. I knew I could use this fact to my advantage. After she submitted her final assignments that were worth a huge percentage of our final graduation grade, I told her I knew about her shenanigans had been still ongoing for 3 entire months by now. I told her how she hurt me and how it will come back to haunt her. I made sure of that. She mostly brushed me off and acted as if I were the villain, as I couldn't just leave her and that she was only friends with that guy. Although I told her something was going to happen, I never told her what it would be. Trust me, she never saw it coming. 1 week later, the end of year results rolled around. When we received our final grades, I was over the moon as I passed with flying colors. On the other hand, her not so much. Due to her final assignments and all quarter 4 work equaling to an F, she called me crying and asked for help. She told me she wouldn't be able to graduate if she wouldn't receive at least a passing grade for this year. She told me our teacher gave her a final chance after telling her how disappointed she was. Caroline has 2 more months at school with extra one-on-one online lessons with our saint teacher. Honestly, props go out to our teacher for giving her another chance. TBH, I felt really bad for her and her situation, knowing very well if she didn't work her ass off in these 2 months, in a subject she hated, she would have to repeat the last year, without someone constantly helping her with her chem. That compassion quickly went away and I told her I would help her, but only if she apologized and paid me my regular tutoring fees. Caroline went full-on ballistic after that and screamed at me how I could do this to her. I hung up and she called me a few seconds after, apologizing and agreeing to pay me for my help. She now has 2 months of intense memorizing with her ex if she wants to graduate. TLDR, my GF cheated on me, so I fed her fake chemistry information and almost made her fail chemistry. Now she's paying me to tutor her. Edit, now she has to study for those 2 months, and when the regular end of the school year comes she has to complete a series of exams, think 4 to 8, covering the most important topics from this year. If she passes all of them she will pass chemistry. Update, the 8th of June 2021 June. Wow, I really didn't expect post to blow up whatsoever. Thanks your Redditors for your support and contributions. Special mentions go out to r/Redditor and Ask Goblin for featuring my stories in their YouTube videos. After 4 weeks of preparing, Caroline has actually learned a lot. She's even broken off contact with that guy, apologized and taken me out to dinner a few times to show her gratitude for still helping her. I hope she was actually able to realize what mistakes she committed in the past and won't do the same again. She was able to take her first exam today in the morning and is quite confident about it. Her next 5 will be spread along the next 2 final weeks. She will find out if this extra work is enough latest on the 23rd of June. I keep you guys update on further details and events that are relevant to this story. Once again, thank you all for your support. I hope you got paid ahead of time and did not collect payment at the end of the tutoring month. Yup, about to recommend this as well. If you don't get payment per session, she will just brush you off. Payment required latest 12 hours before lesson. Why would you tutor her though? I tell her to duck off. You should just move on. Sorry about the shit she put you through though, you deserve better. Hugs. She had to come back to me and apologize. I'm not one for revenge out of pure spite. I find it good if people learn from their mistakes, especially when it comes to cheating. Chaotic neutral, I like your style. Nah, lawful neutral. She broke the rule, was punished, and now that is the past. The neutrals are my favorite. Neutral is fun. You can be a psychopath and a hero at same time when the situation calls, lol. I agree with your thoughts, but I would have charged double. Once for normal fees, and again for emotional stress for you. Problem is, from the way you talked, it sounded like she used you all along, just for the emotional and educational help. Along the lines of, hey, I can unload all my toxic emotional baggage on him and he'll do my homework for me too. At first, she may not even have realized she was doing it, that being the way selfish people often are. But at some point she had to have realized and yet continued doing it. This wasn't just cheating. But why have anything to do with her at all? You should be cutting out betrayers from your life, and it should be surgical. That's the only way to truly move on and stay mentally healthy. What you're doing is not healthy for you. You're still going to see her every day. Sincere advice, you should do a clean break and walk away and ghost the person and disconnect from them and their social media. Yeah, they've learned their mistake or whatever the fallout or consequence, that's their shit to deal with. It doesn't have to be on you to help fix that, even in a monetary style thing. They can find someone else. Or not. Whatever. That should be your viewpoint. Yay, I know, but the sad truth is I'm not over her and I partially feel bad for. Hope I can at least serve some karma and use the time to realize why I should move on. Yeah man, I know. That's exactly why I am saying you need to force yourself to do a clean break and walk away. You're putting yourself into a whole world of pain and discomfort by continuing to see her every day. The reality is that she has well and truly moved on. And worse, she was pretending to still be interested in you so she could use you. And she's continuing to do that. Just because you're charging her money doesn't change that. You're not using this time to realize anything, my friend. The only way this will work healthily for you is to do a clean break and move on. And that means completely switching off. And that's unfortunately how the dice rolls in a relationship. If one person has switched off completely and moved on to another person, the other person needs to do the same right away. Otherwise, the other person can just continue to play mind games and emotional games and keep pretending to swing between two fences. Because they know they have an emotional hold over you, so can continue to wring you some more. Anyway, I have seen way too many friends go down this path. Hence the advice. Please heed to it. I agree with Nom Nom Dish. If what you say is true, and you still feel for her, it will be terrible to have to see her regularly. What if she starts talking, or you start thinking, about the new guys she's ducking? What benefits do you get from exposing yourself to that sort of emotional hardship? Life is short and you only get a very limited amount of time to be young and to even be alive. Don't waste your brain power spinning out over someone you have moved beyond. The simple answer: because no one deserves a cheating, ungrateful partner or friend. You holding on probably has something to do with some insecurity you feel she can compensate for. Love yourself and, despite any flaws you may have, come to terms that holding someone accountable to their actions is not weakness, it's the opposite, it's strength. It's easier to remain there, it takes a backbone to walk away from someone who matters to you because you know it's in your best interest. It will hurt, not once, but many times and in waves, but that too shall pass. It's like ripping off a band-aid, but many times more painful. Just get it over with. Unless you're a masochist and enjoy prolonged pain, then by all means stay there. Just know, whatever she has done, any further pain is by your own choosing. You need to let go. She clearly isn't interested. Finish any business you have with her, tutoring, until the end of the year, and break up. With what you said, you can tell she has you in an abusive relationship. You need to get out. Trust me on this one, I made the same mistake you have. She cheated on you, period. I broke up with her more than a week ago now, just tutoring her for the fun of it. We're on r/pro revenge, but this can easily move to r/nuclear revenge if you apply the same method during the tutoring. You don't seem like the guy that would do it, but in a parallel universe you did it. I'm sorry for your time and feeling investments, but you're young and you'll find someone else for sure. Yep, I did consider this option but decided against it as I already kinda feel bad for her. I decided she wouldn't learn anything out of this revenge if I did that, and she would just brush it off to be a dickhead ex. You keep thinking she learned something. Believe me, she did not. All she learned is that you are still useful. If you don't need the money, let it go. To prolong your exposure. Yay, why do you think she has, or will learn any lesson from this? Sounds like she'll just assume she got to cheat, then continue to use you until she gets what she wants, a passing grade. All you're doing now is showing her she can manipulate others to get her way. Well, she has to learn the whole program from this year plus gaps from what she missed in the past in only 2 months. She'll have to work her ass off, and the only reason she wants my help is because I'm the only person she actually learns stuff from, as she immediately gets bored when someone else is helping/teaching her. This means that she will be punished by not being able to attend the graduation in a week, and as mentioned before, hard work for 2 months. If I went nuclear, she would just have to repeat the whole year, and this would somewhat ruin her current life and career. You're not teaching her any lessons though, she just keeps getting what she wants out of you. She's used you and still is. You still want her, and you're just playing mental games with yourself at this point. 3 months of fake studying and hanging out with this girl who doesn't even like you as a boyfriend. She spoke with you 2 or 3 times a week maybe, and only to ask about the assignments. Does that show you nothing? Maybe you learned some of your own lessons in the end. One can hope. You are a far more mature and empathetic person than many of us could hope to be. Much respect to you. Thanks a lot. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.